This is George Foreman. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Foreman, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I got cut off a minute ago. I don't know if I'm late or not, but I just got in to make the phone call.
Sure, yeah, no problem. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you clearly.
Excellent. Well, it's great to have you on. Before we get started, I'll introduce you to my co-host, Ton.
Hey there, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Beautiful. Glad to have you on the line, George. If you're ready to go, we'll get started.
Let's get it.
Well, obviously, even just this morning, you seem like a really busy guy. You're all over the place, involved with a lot of projects, a lot of charity work. What are you up to these days? What are you doing?
Well, busy is the word, and the old saying is that if you retire, the next thing is to die. So I'm not going to retire. I'm going to stay busy. Busy. I have the ranch in East Texas, and, of course, the youth center right here in Houston, and I'm a full-time preacher at the Church of Lord Jesus Christ about 3 times a week. And I travel as a speaker all the time speaking.
Yeah, that's the George Foreman Inspirational Tour, right?
But I've done that anyway as I get around motivational speaking and try to inspire people all over the country anyway, even before the tour.
So that's something that you've been doing for quite a long time now. You know, I know you're a reverend, so is this something that's just kind of been part of your life for, I guess, probably 40 years or more now?
Yeah, well, that's almost 40 years now, 38 years coming up that I've been an ordained evangelist, and I travel doing that. But at the same time, I became heavyweight champ of the world, Olympic gold medalist, and all of that. And those of us who do these things or achieve these things, we have an obligation to constantly talk and speak, no matter what, to tell people that maybe someone else can be inspired to get up when you think you can't and become champion or whatever you want. And so we're obligated to do that. There's a small few who start from the bottom, and it's like impossible, and we make it. So we talk.
Yeah, that's really great. Talk to us a bit about that, I guess, how you got started boxing.
And the strangest thing, I went down to the gym. I never wanted to be a boxer per se. Never did, but I wanted to be a better street fighter. So when I was in the Job Corps program in California, I met the boxing coach and told him I wanted to be a boxer. And I thought maybe I'd get a couple of trophies and take them back to Houston, Texas, and scare all the guys on the street. Hey, man, he's a fighter, a Golden Gloves fighter. Little did I know that Doc Brothers had bigger ideas for me. He started putting it in my head that I could be an Olympic gold medalist, even heavyweight champ of the world. And it started to take over my life. But, of course, I won a gold medal and then became number 1 contender before I became champion by beating Joe Frazier. It was like sitting on the sideline of a football game and watching the game just go by. That's the way it happened to me. The strangest thing in the world. If I told you I knew it was going to happen, I'd be lying to you.
Huh.
Yeah, and you obviously nowadays most people see you as a friendly guy. You mentioned doing the church work and the charity stuff, and back then you were a scary dude. Knocking out Joe Frazier and Ken Norton and all them guys, making it look easy. What was your mindset back then? Were you just an angry guy, or was that kind of your way of getting your frustrations out?
Well, the Job Corps had given me a new direction because I left the streets of Houston, where I was really a thief, mugging people and the whole thing. But then Lyndon Johnson started the Job Corps program. I'd get a basic education. Then I learned, of course, the avocation was the boxing. And then I met Sonny Liston after the Olympics. And we were stablemates, same manager and trainers. He'd look at people, scared them to death without even saying a word. And I said, if that's what it takes to be champion of the world, that's going to be me. So I started to imitate him. The next thing you know, I was worse than he was. Role models, all about role models.
Sure. Well, we got to ask you your memories of the Rumble in the Jungle with Ali. I mean, just as far as going into that, you had, obviously James Brown playing and all the pageantry and Don King and the media hype. I mean, what was that experience like just being there and getting ready for that fight?
Well, for me, I guess it's a little different because all I went to Africa for was to, defend my championship of the world and to make a lot of money. It would be a record breaker. No one had ever paid that amount of money for a boxing match. And that's always on my mind. Of course, there are a lot of entertainers. I got a chance to sit and chat with James Brown and all of the other guys, and we associate. But other than that, I just stayed grounded. I wanted to win a fight. I wasn't going to deviate from my training, and I was assured that I was going to win. I don't know how I thought any other way.
Well, yeah, with that being said, why were you never given a rematch with Ali?
And that's the strangest thing. This was a rough fight. I thought I'd done him a favor by giving him a chance to fight for the championship of the world. When I didn't need to, he wasn't the number one contender or anything. And once the fight was over, I lost, of course. But the rematch was the most elusive thing ever. And it never happened. And not to say I could beat him again. It's not like I was waking up begging for him anyway. This was one tough hombre. He could fight. You beat him up and he'd wake up. I'd hit him, knock him out, kind of up against the rope. He's staggering. Next thing you know, he'd wake up fighting some more. This was some tough guy.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of, variables with that fight. I know being over in Africa with the humidity and causing the sagging ropes, so he was able to use the rope-a-dope. And, obviously you had a cut, I know, right before your fight and had to stay over there longer. So do you think with all that stuff out of the way, if you did have a rematch, you probably could have taken him? Maybe he thought you could have taken him too.
You never know. All I know is when that bell rang in Africa with him, I gave everything I had. I mean, I fought so hard. That's why he called it the rope-a-dope. He laid on the rope, and I, like a dope, kept throwing everything I had until I fainted. He hit me with a quick right hand, but I was about to fall anyway on my own, tired. And he was skillful. He took the punishment. Nobody gave him anything. He took the punishment, but yet he stood up, and at about the 8th round, he threw a 1-2, caught me right on the chin. There I am on the canvas, counting, listening to the referee count. When I jumped up, it was over. Excuses, you can always get an excuse if you want one, but what about I lost? But I can live with that because I got a second chance 20 years later.
Yeah, what made you decide to come back in '94?
Well, actually, I was out of boxing for 10 years. And so the old saying is something profound happened. I got broke. And I wish I'd had another profession, believe me. But boxing was all I'd known and everything I prepared myself for. So everybody thought I was crazy, but I'd learned to box well. I knew all about it. So I went out, started to promote. And the next thing you know, I'm back in the contentionship again. I got a chance to fight for the title. And in 1994, I won the thing at 45 years old.
It's crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
So did you always think that you were going to win the title or that you could do it even though all these people thought you were crazy for trying it?
Yeah, because I think the most amazing thing was for me to become heavyweight champ of the world the first time. That was amazing. I'm an Olympic champion. I'd won a gold medal with only 25 boxing matches. I'd won a gold medal. Then Dick Sadler helped campaign me all around the country, and all I had was this big punch. Not a whole lot of skill, but I kept knocking everyone out. Then when I became champ of the world the first time, that amazed me. The second time around, I knew everything, how to train, how to punch, how to save myself, and how to promote. So I was not shocked when I became champ of the world because I started to campaign for it in the first place.
We got to ask you, George, a lot of the younger listeners out there, they might not even realize you were a boxer at one time. You've kind of had dual careers with the Foreman Grill. And, nowadays it's kind of almost become like another appliance. Here's the fridge, here's the oven, here's the Foreman. I mean, did you ever imagine that was going to be where the path that you would go down eventually?
And it's strange, too, because I'm invited to speak once in particular in Memphis one of the Head Start teachers were telling the kids, please listen, this is Mr. Foreman. This kid's about 5 or 6 years old, maybe 5 or 6, yeah. And she was explaining to them, he was a gold medalist, heavyweight champ of the world, the teacher. And one little kid under his breath said, that's the cooking man. The idea is that those kids didn't know. They thought someone was trying to pull a wool over their face. They didn't know me as a boxer at all, just as the man on the grill.
Yeah, that's it's interesting, a turn of events for sure. And I got to ask, I know your son is boxing now. What are your thoughts on the scene today and especially the heavyweight division?
Well, my son, George, of course, George. Well, he had a career, he had 15 professional boxing matches as a heavyweight. He was doing really good, but in the last few years, he's decided to cut back. He had this curse, the curse as a boxer is a college degree. When you have a college degree, you're able to think in too many different directions. And so he decided that his business, he graduated in business, and so he started to pursue business. And it's a wonderful thing, too, but boxing has taught all my children that you just don't give up. And the state of the boxers in the United States is kind of strange, especially the heavyweight boxing. There just aren't any right now. But I think in the next few years, I think this guy, Dante Wilder, has opened up everything. There's going to be some action in the heavyweight division.
So you don't think maybe you'll throw your name back in the hat again?
Oh, I wish I could. That's the one thing that was hard for me to do, is to say you got to leave it alone. And I was struggling with that. I had a big struggle with walking out of boxing, and I think all boxers, the problem is not becoming a boxer, it's how do you get out of the business. It's
Sure.
not easy. When I told my wife, I think I was way up, almost 50-some-odd years old, that I was going to make a comeback, pay the number one contender, myself, a purse. And she argued with me, you're not going to do anything. I said, why can't you say that? I said, I can still do this. Look, you don't think I can do it? She said, isn't that the way you want to leave the sport, feeling like you can still do it? And I think all boxers should have that question asked to them. Leave the sport when you feel like you can still do it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, obviously things worked out for you in the end. And you mentioned, doing the speaking engagements. Are there any other projects you have coming up or anything else you want to mention?
Well, right now, the biggest thing for me is George Foreman's Butcher Shop. Within the next couple of months, you'll see online and on television commercials and everything about my having good meat delivered to your door, George Foreman's Butcher Shop. Eventually, in all of the major shopping stores.
Awesome.
George Foreman's Butcher Shop. Everybody's always asking about the grill. And then especially when they go to school, the right piece of chicken, the right piece of meat to put on the grill, clean up easily and go about your business. Now that's the next thing. George Foreman's Butcher Shop.
Excellent. Again, George, thanks so much. It's been an honor having you on.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.